This shit is crazy. Morning, everybody. How you all doing? It is cold in Minnesota. Let's be clear. Thomas Berry convinced me to drive my ass on up here because I'm in Chicagoland, and I was like, "Well, Thomas, it'd be a good idea to come holler at your boy." He was like, "Yeah, come on up, bro." Now I'm crazy enough to leave Atlanta to come to Chicago. Let's be clear about that. It's 70 degrees in freaking Atlanta. It was nice actually yesterday in Chicagoland, but it wasn't 70 degrees. Then I left that to come to the frozen tundra of Minnesota. But whenever I get close enough to my man's, I gotta holler at my man. So we'll figure this part out and go on through the day. Look, I had a rather tough week. Again, was not morning, brother Robert. I don't didn't know if you wanted to join or um, just listen to. So we'll just keep you there if you want to join. Um, we'll just give me a thumbs up or something. We'll bring you in later. Uh, Again, wanted to had a tough week. Had to pivot, obviously, get up here and stuff, and that was a very short night, very long day. Did not get a good night's sleep that night. Obviously, didn't get a good night's sleep the night I got here. Then they wanted them to have a fire drill Thursday night. I'm telling you, somebody is against me sleeping right now, but that's okay. Um, I wanted to go into before we get to the heavy lifting stuff. Honestly, we really haven't done a lot of Black History this month, and this Black History Month. How the hell did we not do a lot of Black History this month? But it's just one of those things where there's so many other things going on that we did not get an opportunity to really to dig into that, right? And I didn't want to dig into anybody that everybody knows. Honestly, I wanted to shout out Mr. Harold. I wanted to shout out Miss May, the Candy Lady. I wanted to shout out Mr. Joe, the guy on the block that used to fix stuff for you. I wanted to shout out those people. I'm a kid of the 70s. I remember those people. They were instrumental in me growing up. They were instrumental in me knowing a lot of the things that I know right now. They were instrumental in keeping the block together, keeping the hood together. And I don't think they get their just dessert. So I wanted to shout those folks out. There's somebody in your life you remember from your childhood that kept the block in order. There's somebody in your life, other than the teacher, other than the priest, other than the rabbi, other than the imam. There's somebody out there that really kept things going. That fed the people when they were hungry. You always knew that they knew you were broke, but they still let you come over to the crib and get a plate. You know what I mean? Like somebody always just all of a sudden came, found some extra clothes that they didn't need no more, and they gave it to you. I'm not talking about the folks that got evicted and everybody was scavengers and went through their crap and boom, boom. I'm talking about stand up folks in the community that were like, yo, I understand that you all may be going through a rough patch right now. It ain't the greatest, but it's something to get your kids through, to get you through, whatever. Definitely wanted to give them a shout out, man. Because again, I don't think they get enough press nor enough credit for what they did. They are the backbones of the community. They are and they were. I saw a post not too long ago about the area I grew up in Baltimore, and the area I grew up in Baltimore was very segregated from the majority of the city. We were on the hell. I guess it would be deep southwest side. It was so damn south. It was really just south. It wasn't southeast, west, nothing. But in the rest of the city, it was like most major cities. You have, especially in the Northeast, you have your row homes, you have your corner stores, you have your other stores, so on and so forth. Well, we didn't have space in their housing project to have corner stores, so they were extremely creative. The residents, they were extremely creative and took school buses and converted them into stores. They gutted out the school bus, put refrigerators in them, put counters in them, shelvings, the whole nine, and that was our quote unquote corner store. Well, we all called it the bus because that's the hell it was. It was a bus. It was an actual bus, and you would go to that bus and you would pick up your penny candy. You would pick up your cookies, butter crunch with chocolate milk. You would pick up your little uh, onion pickle or pickle, If you were into the swine, you pick a piece of pig feet. Hell, you get bacon and eggs from that mug. Bacon and eggs, bread. They had everything that a corner store would have. For real, for real. Cereal, milk, you name it. They had cat food, dog food, cat litter. They had it. And it was a truly a convenience factor because again, we had no corner stores. So the only stores we had were the stores up at the shopping center. Well, that was a nice little hike if depending on where you lived at. And it was definitely a hike for elderly folks. Well, these buses were much closer, so you could walk very easily. Snow, sleet, rain, shine, whatever, and get to them and get back home in very short order. So, I wanted to shout out those entrepreneurs who thought about stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's a whole slew of folks out here, man, that put in the work, that keep things going, and I just wanted to recognize those peoples, man. It's good to be on this side of life, without a doubt. You can tell by the grade. It's good to be on this side of life, but I have to always recognize and remember that I would not be on this side of life without folks like that were very supportive. Again, even the penny candy lady, you might have had a quarter, but you wanted that extra squirrel nut. You know what I'm saying? She slid it in the bag for you, like, I'll get it from you later. It's the little things. I'm very appreciative the older I get of the little things, and very appreciative of those who have helped me through the little things to get to the bigger things, without a doubt. So, shouts out to all of them as we close out Black History Month with our own private uh, Black History facts, if you will. Thomas, anybody like that in your life, broski? Anybody from the block you want to recognize? Call out.
Man, there's so many people from back home. Uh, often get it accused of being nostalgic. So what I will do is yesterday I should say I met a brother because I knew the brother because he coached my son in high school football. And when my son went to play over in Mexico for an international Division 3 football game, um, with some Division 3 schools around the country here, playing to get some Mexicans down in Mexico. Coach Todd, I did not know that Coach Todd was a farmer, and I
Oh,
did not
wow.
know that Coach Todd owned the second oldest black farm in America. And I found that out yesterday. And when he was saying that, I was like, "Wow, are you a farmer?" Like I didn't know, but salute to that. And it was it was just smooth having that conversation with the brothers yesterday. But I didn't know that about Coach Todd. And Coach Todd is such a cool, relaxed brother. And salute to his family. You know, he said they've been farming for 160 years.
Oh, wow.
And so at a time in Minnesota where it's 36,000 white farmers and only 15 African American farmers. So I got a chance to participate in the conversation yesterday to make sure the black farmers get access to capital, inland. And so I just want to salute, if I could salute anybody, let's salute the people who look like us, who are out there still farming, who are still producing food, like Coach Todd and his family for keeping it going. And I learned a lot yesterday sitting in the room with those black farmers here in the Twin Cities. That's not something that you do often, but I learned a lot yesterday. And salute to all those people that I met yesterday. My man Julius, man, Julius Cochran, man, salute to him for having me come slide in at the table and be a part of the conversation. So I appreciate those brothers and sisters. So ain't nobody far back. I mean, because I love everybody back home, man. I'll be going forever naming the people and persons and shoot, but because I love everybody back home, all them people, man, I love them all. So it's just hard for me. Um, I left there at 13, and so for me, it's kind of tough to like just pick out a person
I got you.
because all of those people back home, honestly, and don't get me wrong, I have no issues showing love to the people I met here, but it was really those people back in South Bend, Indiana, that kind of crafted who I am for the most part. It's like the bedrock of who I am as a person, and so just salute to those, for sure.
Got you. I want to talk about farms if you don't mind, because
Mhm.
as I was driving, I was like, God dang, Thomas didn't tell me all these damn farms around here, and them
Yep.
things huge. I'm like, goodness gracious, them jokers went on for miles and miles and miles and miles. I'm like, man, I never seen a farm this damn big before, and I'm not lying. I had never seen farms. At least I don't think so. I didn't think I've ever seen a farm as big as some of the ones I've seen out here. And I'm like, everybody farm out this mo
Yeah.
because again, being a city kid, I'm a city kid.
Yeah.
I know there are places where farms are.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. But to be that close to one and
Hmm.
run up on another one and run
Hmm.
up on another one and run up on another one, like, yo, ain't nothing out here but farmland. I'm used to, buildings. You know what I mean?
That was your trek from Wisconsin on into Minnesota, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
dude, there's nothing out here but freaking farms. That is wild to me. Again, I'm looking for the strip mall. I'm
Yeah.
looking for the Ross dress for less. I'm looking for the
Yeah.
Coleco's. I'm like, yo, where the Walmart at? Hell, even though I don't shop there, where's the Target? I'm not
Hmm.
seeing that. I'm like, yo, where in another thing I didn't see Chick-fil-A. I didn't see a sign for a Chick-fil-A. I cannot recall seeing a sign for a Chick-fil-A on the highway at all. Not used to not seeing that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was definitely different. It was a good different, but it was definitely different, without a doubt.
Well,
You know what
in
I
the
mean?
Midwest, Chick-fil-A and places like that, they were they were once staples of the Midwest, and then they went away for a while, then they came back. So that's probably why you don't see. I mean, there's a lot of them here, especially here in Minnesota. But they were once here. Like I grew up going to Chick-fil-A in downtown South Bend. My grandmother would always grab me a chicken sandwich when I was with her, and so Chick-fil-A was everything for us growing up. But
Right.
they went away and then they came back. So in them highway spaces, bro. Hey, this is the Midwest, man. You see all the farms. We got we
Yes.
we got plenty of our own restaurants, man. We can bogart.
Say that again.
We don't need that. That's the reason why when I was telling you all about the Target boycott, well, I'm kind of hesitant because I know that's a Midwest company, and we boycott Target, but we let Walmart slide like like Kanye said, we let it slide through like it got the MAGA hat on, like everything is cool, and but we're not saying nothing to them. So if you boycott one, you let the other one slide through. It's like, what are you really saying? You feel what I'm
Right.
saying? But
Yes, sir.
but we got our own stuff here, which I mean, bro, when you go through Wisconsin and you think about all that farmland, keep in mind a lot of those people voted for Trump. But keep in mind when Trump got in last year, when he cut that USAID fund,
He
those
cut
were
them.
farmers that were committing suicide because he cut their money. So what you saw was a lot of people who are when you roll past those farms, you're seeing you roll past the businesses of the people who have to pay the fee for this president being in office because those people aren't getting paid what they were getting paid before he got in office.
Yeah, it was again, man, it was very eye opening. I'd never experienced that many farms,
Oh,
that huge,
oh.
that close together for that long of a
Go to
span of time.
Iowa is even worse because it's flat and it ain't nothing but cornfields, and you'd be like, "Yo, is like, am I driving through a time loop?" And it's so boring because
I
it
agree.
ain't no green.
I've driven through Iowa because
Mhm.
I've flown into there and drove down to Omaha,
Yeah,
Nebraska. I've done that a couple times actually,
awesome.
and actually one time I flew into Iowa and I drove down to see Rashi because it was just a hell of a lot cheaper to fly into Iowa and drive down than it was for me to fly directly into Kansas City. It was way too much, way too expensive,
Hey,
way too.
shout out to Omaha. They say that a large portion of black people in Omaha are actually relatives. Based off of what happened to us off the plantation and people migrating over there, a lot of them are actually kinfolk. So shout out to the people out there in Omaha, Nebraska, home of Malcolm X. So shout out to those folks out there. You know, when we talk about the Midwest, we barely talk about Omaha, but Omaha is really black. It's a black spot for sure, for sure.
Yeah, it is.
You know, you from New York and you guys like that movie Belly.
Mm-hmm.
And that remember the scene when they were out there that they were in Omaha.
Mm.
Yeah, that was Omaha when the brothers had came to the Midwest. So shout out to
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, but anyhow, there was to move it down the line because we don't want to get stuck on that stuff.
Oh,
State of the Union happened this week. We
mm-hmm,
woke up this morning to the actual attack on Iran. We had discussed talking about the buildup. The buildup went from a buildup to an actual assault.
mm-hmm.
Bill Clinton testified before Congress this week. Jasmine Crockett is leading by double digits currently down there in Texas
Yeah, she
for the
should.
primary. But there's warning that if she wins the primary on Tuesday, that does not guarantee a win in the general in November. It
Mm.
seems like a lot of the Republicans are trying to pump her up because they feel she's the weaker candidate going into it. So they're throwing their weight behind her to get her over the finish line.
That's
And their
interesting.
thought is they're going to come back and crush her in November.
That's interesting because I've been seeing different. That's not what I've been seeing. I have been seeing the Republicans actually support Tallarico. And let me say this on Jasmine Crockett's benefit today, because we're going to enter to Women's Month. But I'm going to say this for Black women in general. We have to stop playing with sisters when it comes to politics. Now, we debated last year back and forth, even on this show, about Kamala Harris losing to Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Some people over on here even said that she was a bad candidate. And I'm going to ask again, we're sitting in the midst of the beginning of World War III. Was she, though? Because at the end of the day, what makes people bad compared to the worst? And James Tallarico is not a United States congressional member. He hasn't won anything on the national stage, but Jasmine Crockett is a United States congressional woman, and she's won on multiple levels when he has not. And so, this idea that people are constantly saying that this woman is somehow, if she wins, she can't win the state. Time out. Go do your research on Texas. Find out why they're gerrymandering the state. Find out why Texas is more blue than what you think. And also find out how she got people to come out with early voting to crush the numbers compared to the Republicans. Right now in Texas, the Democrats are voting 1.5 times more than the Republicans in early voting. That's
Mm.
big. So when people say she can't win, if you keep your moment, if she keeps the momentum up and Trump keeps doing what he's doing, she will win. People want to fight her. Folks are tired of the choir boys. People are tired of the do it right white ethos. Folks want people that's going to speak truth to power. We've had enough cowards standing places. And that's just the truth. I know people love to keep it on the old way because that's what people are most comfortable with. But this world, and especially this country, is due for a shakeup. So let's salute Sister Jasmine Crockett. I've seen on TikTok the constant plays, and it hurts to see it's black people. And maybe they might be bots. They could be AI. I don't know, but it looks like black people, live black folks, and they may not be, American descendants of slaves, but they are running that same play, saying she can't win, she can't win, she can't win. And I'm watching the Republicans talk about Tellerico in such glowing terms, and I'm like, y'all don't know what this is. When the Republicans talk like, "Oh, we're going to have a hard time against James Tellerico," you don't get what that is. That's the old 52 card fake out. That's like, do you want to play? And then they just throw the cards up against your face and say, no, thank you. They're saying that Tellerico is going to be tough because they know that they can spank Tellerico. They know if they dragged him in the swamp and they expose things about him while he's coming off perfect in the middle of a primary, he'll have nowhere to escape. With her, everything about her is public. And let me just stop by saying, so what? She's loud. I call it proud. So what? She talks with vernacular that's hip. I call it culture. And so what? She's a woman. Are we like not used to seeing women lead things anymore? Like, I'm just there's stuff that I'm hearing about this sister, and I'm like, yeah, you're running in something below the Bible Belt. But get used to it. She's going to take that seat.
So there's a couple of comments I wrote down as you were talking. I'll go to the first one. I'll go to the second one first, which is women leading. The Daily Show,
Hmm.
the correspondent, the brother came, white cat, tall cat. He was at a Trump rally and he asked two Trump supporters why did they vote for Trump, and they were just like, well, he was the better candidate. And he kept pressing, and they didn't give him a direct answer. So he says, well, was it because she's the woman? And they were like, well, I just don't see myself voting for a woman as president. It's a man's job. It's a man's job. It's like, okay.
Hmm.
So that is still, especially in the Bible Belt, a problem.
Hmm.
This is the third thing I just thought of as I was talking about that. We're talking about salute, brother Marlon. How you doing? Morning to you. We're talking about um, the strike on Iran, and one of the things that Trump mentioned was how it will continue as long as the Iranians threaten Christian lives. Bro, you ain't a Christian. When was the last time your ass went to church? Not church. Church. When was the last time your ass went to church? They ain't seen your ass sniff a church pew, a guardrail, a stair, since the damn election. Since you were running for election. Hell, he even stopped that before he got elected. He stopped it before he got elected. It was all show, smoke and mirrors. All smoke and mirrors.
Hmm.
Moving forward. I want to one more hero I need to throw in here, and he's becoming more and more a hero to me every day. Eric Benet. Have you seen Eric Benet going off and on his video clips? Eric Benet is hilarious. I never knew that brother was so damn funny. I am I am watching him go off on Trump and his supporters. And the more and more he does, the more and more he goes in, the more and more I'm like, damn, I wish I would have known this about this brother before. Now I've seen him perform a number of times. He's a staple at the Capitol Jazz Festival. Staple. And I always thought, he's a cool old dude. A couple of years ago was the first time he ever talked about the song he had with Tamia. And the story goes, and this is from his mouth. Man, you couldn't tell me nothing at that time. I was the man. I wanted her on my song, so I convinced her to come. I get myself all together. I had like a little bathrobe on. I had the ambiance all set up in the studio. So she walks in. I'm about to throw my mat down. Next thing I see is Grant Hill walk. I was like, ooh. So I had to back off of it that time, but that wasn't just supposed to be a studio session. I'm gonna let y'all know right now. He was funny then, right? So yeah, I definitely got to shout him out because he's definitely come for me. He's come out of left field and just like knocking the ball out the park consistently. But moving on to this election, the the look of things, Democrats consistently are winning in this cycle. There have been some few, fair between losses and I can't even call them losses. I would say maintenance of seats, be it at the state level or the federal level, that the Republicans have held, but it hasn't been many. It's been so, as we've said, even on this show, that right now the leadership majority in the House is only one seat. So it's shaved to just one seat, the difference between the control of the House for Democrats and Republicans. What has continued is the misappropriation or lack thereof of power. The folks whom we have charged to take care of our business are not taking care of business. They're taking care of business for themselves. And this is where Rodney usually pops in and says, I don't understand why we ain't doing what we got to do. Well, Rodney, again, I don't think that most people understand what power they do have. So that's why we're at this challenging juncture that we're currently at. You know what I mean? But I think people are slowly but surely coming around to understanding that this regime, can't call it an administration, this regime is not for them. It's for them. Literally for them. It's not about us at all. It's really about them. And people are pushing back. And the pushback, I truly believe, is going to be a huge blowback come November if, to Rodney's point, we are actually in the position to have elections in November. Now, this attack on Iran this morning puts us in a very unsafe position moving forward. It's not like the Iranians can attack us directly with any weapons that they may have, but there's some indirect things that they have proven over the years that they have sponsored terrorism, terrorist acts, so on and so forth. Also, I think to both of you all, and I'm gonna let Rodney get in because he hasn't spoken yet this morning. I think that the Iranians have something over the Karen administration, something on Trump. And I would say by Tuesday, if they actually have it by Tuesday, we'll all know what it is. Rodney, what were your thoughts waking up this morning, seeing the attack on Iran?
It happened. Good morning, everybody. We were actually at the gathering when it happened,
Oh, okay.
so we spoke about it last night, and I mean I almost lost for words here. It's not like we weren't expecting it. So he did what we knew he was going to do. Um, Epstein's getting a little hot. The Clintons got on, it backfired, and don't look over here, look over there.
Yeah,
Uh, my and Iran's already retaliated. So now the ball's back in our court. Is he going to call it a day? But he said it's going to keep on going. So Iran has already retaliated. Are we going to retaliate against Iran for retaliating against us? Because remember, we already obliterated them once. So I'm not sure what there is to retaliate on in the first place. But there are rumors that the Ayatollah may not be with us anymore. So I'm waiting to see if that comes to fruition. Their official report was, and I haven't checked it in a minute, but it had been. We think he's okay, but they weren't sure. Then there's reports that he was okay. So waiting to find out how that shakes out. 45 basically called for the uh, the people to do what the people here should be doing, and that's take their country back. And he's also called for their leadership. Uh, he's basically given them kind of like a waiver. Y'all overthrow this guy if he's still there, or just take it over, and we'll give you a pass. So we'll see if they bite off on that. And here's the other thing: if Iran doesn't play ball, what's Russia going to do? Because Iran has been the key supplier of weapons to Russia to fight the Ukrainians, and the Ukrainians are making even more inroads into Russia right now. So if this becomes a protracted situation, what is Russia going to call their dog back, or is Russia going to let him do it, or is he separating himself from his master? And let's think about what Cain said. Cain and Leaky Pete, your mama call you trash Hetzeth, on two different sides. He said, "Don't do it. We don't have the military to conduct a protracted operation. This is his hand-picked dude that he pulled out of retirement, that he gave an unmeritorious promotion so that the black guy wouldn't be there. So there's some dissent in the military. Let's. I'm just waiting to see what's Russia going to do, and are we going to counter the counterattack?
so he says that we obliterated their nuclear weapons program, completely obliterated. Why are we attacking them?
We're
I'm trying to.
re-obliterating.
Yeah, I don't understand. If we completely obliterated just a couple of months ago, because it was just last year. Like my mind ain't that foggy now. What the hell are we? Why are we attacking them for? What? So now we waited for Israel to join in the fight, so it doesn't look like it was unilaterally our thing, right? He never got Congress's permission. Well, that ain't gonna go nowhere because he has them by the balls. But maybe he can skirt the line of, well, I just jumped in because our allies were in, and yeah, maybe, I don't know, doesn't matter, whatever. He pulled out of the Iranian peace process. He pulled out that he declared that we were pulling out of the Iranian nuclear deal. That was him. That wasn't Biden. That wasn't Obama. That was him. He announced that to the world. So now you want them to talk about nuclear peace treaty? What do you want? He acts like a woman on the first date. I don't understand what you want. What you want? Maybe a married woman after 50 years. I don't know. I don't get it. What do you want? I give you what you want. You don't want it. Then you want it, but then you don't want it. I don't understand. I'm confused. Help me understand. Clear it up for me because again, if we did this thing not too long ago,
But y'all know what this is about.
yeah,
Let,
I
let,
know it's
no, let's not do that. We know what this is about. This is
what's
about
about.
this is about the Epstein files.
Absolutely.
This has nothing to do with the Iranians having anything on it. It's what the Israelis have on it. This has nothing to do with that. This is before you go. Before you go, this is what you must do. And I've been watching these videos by John Karakoy, a former CIA spy.
Okay.
And John has been for the last few months, man. I've just been watching his videos. And if you get a chance to watch this dude on YouTube and he lays out the stories about the Mossad, man, it is eye popping. Listen, this was, as he said on Thursday, he said, man, this looks a lot like the Iraq war,
Yep.
this same posturing. But he said, but this is Israel. This is Israel's doing. This is what Israel needs. And he said the second thing is, with the economy being the way that it is now, the other side of it is they want to try to jumpstart the economy because they feel like they can make money off war. I just look at it, the files, every time there's something that comes up more with this guy's name and this story about this girl. And then the more that you get into it and you start seeing the stuff about the espionage piece. And I keep on saying, man, national security, national security, national security. That's what this is about. And it's an old wag the dog because he wants to change the conversation. The Israelis, who, by the way, I do want to say this because I thought about that this morning and I said, I kind of feel bad for Jewish Americans
Mm.
because if you listen to what's going on here in America right now with the extreme right, they are really anti-Israel, which will make what they call what they call folks what they call them anti Semitic.
Semitic.
Oh, we're about to see anti-Semitism go to a high because this is a president who promised his base, who are part of the right wing nut jobs, that they won't go be going to war. And here is a war, and it's a war that's attached to Israel. And if it's a war that's attached to Israel, that means it's a war that's going to end up having Jewish Americans. And I'm talking about folks who may not care about Israel whatsoever. They may not be Zionists whatsoever. There's a lot of Jewish people that don't want to have anything to do with Israel. And we have to understand that. Those are the folks, unfortunately, who are targeted a lot of times based off of things that are happening with the Israeli government. So we have to keep that in mind as we move forward with this piece, because this president has broken his promise. And by the way, wasn't it him who said that Barack Obama was going to bomb the Iranians because he didn't know how to negotiate peace back in 2013? How is that
Mm.
part of closing the deal working now?
Hmm. Uh, because Well, you know how that goes though, bro. If you white, you right. So he don't care about that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just keep it real. Let's just keep it real. If you white, you right. So
Mm.
but Brock couldn't do it because he needed to leave it for him to do, so he can do it and he can get it over the finish line because he white and he right. So it's like how they keep changing the rule book. This is this whole thing is confusing as hell to me. Somebody said to me today, I think they were like, "How can a convicted felon be in control of anything, let alone the United States military?
Mm.
How does that work? Who does that?" And again, you're talking about being elected in the party that is above, supposedly above, reproach when it comes to anything law abiding. It's all about law and order.
Mm-hmm.
Law and order. If you did the crime, you need to do the time.
Mm.
Well, ain't nobody got pulled to the carpet yet about any of this stuff related to the Epstein files. No
Mm.
one's been pulled to the carpet yet about any of this grift that these jokers are running.
Mm.
No one's been called to the carpet yet about this delay and deny of facts when it comes to court cases. No one's been called to the carpet yet about lying to judges in order to get favorable rulings for search warrants or what have you. No
Mm.
one's been called to the carpet yet. When will that begin to happen, Rodney? When is this thing going to change? When are we going to pivot and do what we're supposed to do?
When the people make the government do the government's job, there's no incentive for the Republicans to do any more than what they're doing. And many of them have now gone so far that they've passed the Rubicon of claiming innocence from culpability. They have enabled him. And now, because they have enabled him, they go down with the ship. So they need to keep the ship afloat as long as possible. So this won't be because, at least not assuming that we have elections and that the elections are free and fair. But that's a whole year, or we have a while before we have elections. So we see what he's done in the time that he's had. Uh, they're not amassing troops for nothing. We're not attacking Mexico, supposedly for drug cartels. We're not going after Cuba, and shots have been exchanged. So one of the things that we've said on this show, that I've said, is that if he got elected, it wouldn't just be a civil war. It would be blood running in the streets of America, and the world would be on fire. Well, right now, somebody lit the match in the Middle East. So again, we have to see, does Russia call their lapdog back? Because Iran supplies Russia with weapons to fight Ukraine. Um, does North Korea stay silent, or is this their opportunity to go after South Korea and Japan? Does China, which has troops there too, does China just chill? Or do we have some type of proxy terrorist war? And since we have most of our FBI running after 5-year-old kids and handicapped people and uh, women, are, when terrorism comes, real terrorism from foreign countries come to America, are we even going to know, since we seem to be focused internally versus on what's happening? So we're at that moment where which I'm usually pretty good at using history in predicting what's going to happen. I'm not at a position right now to say how things are going to fall, but what I am in a position to say is things will fall where the people allow it to fall, or where the people make it fall. To be quite honest, it's on us. It's not on him, and it's not on MAGA. It's on the rest of us.
Again, I don't know if people have fully taken in this. I don't know if people have fully digested the fact that we are at a point in our history that most of us never thought we would be. Some of us hope we never get to, because we understood just how fragile this thing is, and was. I actually have to say was, because it's past tense now. It is broken. It's absolutely broken. I've heard it said here that we believe that America is going to call upon black folks in order to fix it, because that's what America does. Whenever she's in need, she calls upon us in order to make it right. Can we make it right? Do you think that America will stomach a majority black anything? Congress, president, Supreme Court, whatever, it doesn't matter. Gubernatorial houses, doesn't matter in the near future? Or do you think that the undercurrent still brewing of this racism that we're living through right now? You know, Rodney, you've said this is as close to Jim Crow as you've seen since Jim Crow. Is it going to hold us back, or will it propel us, not just us as black people, but the nation, to fix the brokenness of the system and potentially start healing some of the damage, not only domestically, but internationally, that's been caused by this current regime? Thomas, I'll let you take that first.
Well, I don't know if we are those type of black people anymore. I just don't know. And will they let us do it? They ain't got no choice. It's one of those things where they don't have a choice. But we are the only people who can do it, as I was talking about Sister Jasmine Crockett, because it's going to take those black folk who are not scared to talk truth to power. And watching the I worry watching some of the politicians who are at play now that are black. I don't think that they come from that, they don't have that fire in their belly. It's only a handful who do. And unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, because that's an opportunity. But America will need us to take it back, to kind of pull it back to its center and its morality piece. But, collectively, are we ready to be there? Because, while this country's going to hell, our people still talking about Ti versus 50 cents. That's the
Say
time
that again.
our community all year
Say that again.
what's name loan, because somehow Ti and 50 Cent beef gonna pay the bills. And we're content chasing to make a content check. And so it's a great distraction. That's why I said we ain't them folks no more. We ain't them folks, because before you couldn't tell us nothing about politics. As Dick Gregory could say, black folks can see more without an instrument than white folks can see with an instrument. And, we would see what was on the horizon in this situation with Trump. We knew last week that they were talking about bombing Iran. Let's keep in mind, this is a week delay. This is a week delay. I do want to say, I saw this morning, Congressman Ro Khanna was urging for them to bring Congress back in session so that they can vote on the War Power Act to rein Trump in. But what I will say to Congressman Ro Khanna, you guys are going to have to figure out a way to impeach Mike Johnson and get him out. And
Mm.
find enough Republicans who got the balls to say that that's what needs to happen. Because watching Mike Johnson at the State of the Union and the way that he sat behind and the way he let things happen, that is part of the problem. And can you find enough members in the Republican Party who don't want to send white kids out to war, who have the courage to say, hey, we could probably salvage this country? And I know people will say, well, that's kind of far fetched, but we thought that too about the Supreme Court until the Supreme Court made their ruling last week. Because sometimes people wake up when you least expect them. So we got to just hope for a lot of it that some folks, stub their toe in the middle of the night and have a eureka moment to say, hey, man, we need to step up and do what we need to do. And we can't let white folks off the hook in this. And what I mean by that, black folks shouldn't be stopping white people from getting their karma. That's probably part of the reason why we should not save them. We probably shouldn't be those black folks at this point. They need to get their karma in this aspect of the world, because when we watch all of this stuff that's playing out, these were things people have been warned about for quite some time. We've been warning about white supremacy and that undercutting. They've been talking about that since 2016. It's 2026. That's 10 years ago since the FBI warned the world what was happening. Them infiltrating the military, infiltrating law enforcement. Now they're infiltrating the federal government at elected positions, and some of them are Supreme Court justices. Yes, I'm saying it. There's some white supremacists in the Supreme Court justice level. And then we have a president who is the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. I'm just saying that's just what the warning
If
was.
it walked like a duck, it quacked like a duck.
So 10 years later, we're finding this out. And one more piece. What I thought was interesting about this week with the UK and the rest of the world kind of saying, hey, even Hillary Clinton said it in her deposition. What's going on with Epstein? This is about country, and they didn't want to name the country. They didn't even want to say Israel on TV. The Republicans didn't even want to say that it was Israel that Hillary was talking about in her deposition that owned Epstein. They refused to say it. And I'm saying the rest of the world is waking up and saying, wait a minute. This is America, this is Israel, and this is Russia. And if everybody's waking up saying that, the new axis of evil this morning, y'all, is America, it's Russia, and it's Israel to the rest of the world. That is how the rest of the world is viewing this country at this moment. America is not looked at as an ally to the rest of the world at this moment, not with this guy as president. And that's a reality that Americans must wake up to. And part of it, we have to wake up to it is because it's our fault. It's our fault for allowing this man to be elected the first time and then a second time. We should have stormed the Capitol and tore this bitch up for even allowing him to get on the ballot before they even got to the election.
Rodney, what you got?
I mean, really, the train has left the station, and we watched it leave, and we knew it was leaving at 8, and it left at 8. And the train starts out slow, and it builds up momentum. Now you still have time if you get there a little after 8 to run and jump on. But once it builds up that momentum, you just left.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to hope that there's another train. You got to start hoofing it to where you want to go. And the reason why I say that hoofing is harder. So it's not loss. It's not that we cannot make things better. This is an opportunity to restructure this country into how it should be. But that won't happen without Black people, though. And Black people are going to have to take their rightful place. And history tells us that whenever this country has made leaps forward or strides towards that more so-called more perfect union, it's always been because of us. I just don't see it happening without us. We're going to have to be involved. I do believe that white people are getting a lesson because America has always been a fascist country for Black people. The cops have always done the same things to Black people and to some others too, but primarily Black people, that ICE is doing to so-called immigrants, but the majority of them actually are Americans. So white people are seeing this because it's hitting close to home. And I can tell you from my experience, we had discussions at the gathering last night with white people, and these are kind of progressive white people. But what they said was, hey, we grew up in a white bubble. So what was happening, either we didn't see it, or when we saw it, we had been conditioned to think it was something else.
Right, he froze on us.
Uh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that there are some white people that are getting the lesson, but they're not getting it fast enough. It's not enough of them. And here's the other part. They don't know what to do because they're not used to this happening to them.
Mm-hmm.
So some of them will be violent, but ultimately, I can tell you that my phone stays ringing and most of the calls now were white people. Messages are white people asking, "What? What do we do? What?" And here's another point with white people: as they're getting the input from their eyes, right? Their
Mm-hmm.
brains is still trying to figure out what their eyes are showing them because they're so far mentally and intellectually removed from it. And then the final point is when I was talking to some white folks about what they learned in school, I said, "What did you guys learn about black people?" And they said, "Well, we learned a little bit about Frederick Douglass. We learned a little bit about um, Harriet. We knew about Martin, eh, maybe one or two others. And we knew that y'all were slaves, but you're free and things are getting better now. And we thought y'all just need a little bit of help." That's what pretty much we learned and knew about black people.
Things again. You were slaves, but things again.
And I'm just giving you the feedback, and we actually did a white panel discussion a couple of weeks ago. Matter of fact, weren't you there for that?
I was there.
Well, that was very informative
Yes, it
because
was.
I was like, wow, hmm. So white people are coming into what we've been into all of our lives. And I do think it's going to take them a minute to catch up, assuming that they catch up. But to a lot of them, this is new to them. And they are looking for leadership and guidance from us.
So Marlon said two things. Marlon, I wanted to shout you out. Marlon said, "Train ain't got no brakes now." When Rodney was talking about the train leaving the station, I agree with you. But the other thing Marlon said was virtually nothing they have learned. You're absolutely right. So from that panel discussion, again, I'm not always in Vegas. So I'm in Vegas, and I'm like, look, I want to do this a little differently because Rodney left me to run the thing, so I was running the thing. And if you all have gone through this before, please let me know. What is it that you know about us? What is it that you heard about it? Did you grow up with black people? Did you grow up around black people? And the answers that they gave mirrored my experience in a lot of ways. Um, I didn't grow up around a lot of white folks. There were some, but they were the dirty white folks. I grew up in the projects, huh? I didn't grow up around affluent white people. The things that I thought about white people as a child was they had it all figured out, except for the dirty ones. Everybody else had it all figured out. That's why they lived so well. That's why their children in high school had cars. That's why they had 401ks and they had life insurance. Now, we had life insurance, but somehow or another theirs was better than ours. Their ice figure, as the saying goes, was colder than ours for whatever reason. What they said to us though was they didn't think of us. They thought nothing of us. They had no clue as to what we did. They had no clue as to the contributions we made to society. They really were just in their white bubble, living life with no concept of what we did, who we were, except for they needed to stay away from us because the majority of their parents were racist in some form of action. They were racist, without a doubt. One cat said that he was partnered with someone who knew the craft much better than he.
Say it, Lee. Don't hold back. Say it.
And his dad told him that was unacceptable. You better know it better than him. So that was crazy. But it is what it is, right? Um, One of the young ladies, she was like, "Well, my mother wasn't really one way or another. It was but it was a blah. She never discussed black people. I never discussed black people. It was just a blah. So yeah, it was eye opening. The fact that we could say what they contributed to this country, we could say what they contributed to this nation's history as a child, and they could not, as a child, say what we had contributed. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't know nothing about the stoplight, the refrigerated truck. They didn't know anything about the gas mask. Garrett Morrison, right? Or
Morris.
Morris. Thank you. They didn't know nothing about that. But we know about almost everything they invented because it's very little. Most of the shit was invented by us. They just stole it and threw that name on it because they could. Because we couldn't get patents back in the day. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's how that worked. So yeah, man, it was wild. It was very wild, but it was very eye opening. So when I see Trump at the State of the Union, we'll transition to that. When I see this candidate, I know, but we have to. We have to. This is what we do. We have a political tilt. We got to talk about it. When I see him at the State of the Union, the little bit I saw, I'm not even gonna lie, I did not watch the entire thing because my mind would have fucking exploded. Not gonna lie. And it was all grandstanding from what I saw. From the recaps that I've watched since, it's all grand. There was no policy. There was no sustenance. He declared that this was Americans' golden era. The economy was good, prices were down. Where the hell you live at, dog? He talked about gas prices being below 250 in multiple states. What damn states you in, dog? Where are you at where gas prices are below 250? As a constant, not as a one off, because there could be some one offs, but as a constant, only places I can think of even remotely that's going to happen. Texas, number one, because they just got so freaking much. Potentially Alabama. Potentially Alabama. And it really depends on where your ass is in Alabama. Because if you closer to one of the major cities, that shit is not gonna happen. If you in Birmingham, not gonna happen. Even the Gump, that ain't gonna happen. And if it is, you are literally right on that damn line. You might be at 251, 252, 253, but you ain't gonna be at 246. That ain't gonna happen. So this disconnect between what the Dow is doing, what the S&P are doing, and what regular Americans are suffering through. Thomas, you said this on the show months ago. You said, bro, even six figures enough ain't enough. You making six figures, that's not enough. And it ain't. I'm here to tell you. I make six figures. It ain't enough. That shit ain't enough. Now, when we were kids, if you said to somebody, man, I'm making sense, you like, oh man, you doing real good. Now, bro, you struggling. You struggling. I'm sorry, let me get it right. You struggling. You struggling out here. You making six figures. You struggling. You trying to figure it out. Why? Because your gas bill is continuously going up. Your electric bill is continuously going up. Your water bill is continuously going up. Why? Because all these damn data centers that everybody trying to build is killing our electrical sources. But you want to come along and you want to kill all green energy plants? Are you foolish? Are you foolish? Or are you greedy? Are you greedy because you're now tied in to the heads of these industries and they're giving you a kickback? I would not deny that at all. I see you, dog. I understand who you are. You a thief. You are a thief. You may wear a suit and tie, but you are a thief. You are crooked as the letter I, N or S. And if you don't know what the crooked eye is, you never drunk side eyes. I'm just saying. But you're crooked as the letter S. Dog, come on now. This ain't no game out here. We got folks out here for real hurting. I saw an article just yesterday. I did not pull it. I apologize. I apologize. I did not pull it. I just read the byline. And the byline said the new um, Obama. That's yeah. The new ACA proposal from Republicans would make healthcare costs some freaking crazy number. I was like, yo, this is insane. Who can afford stuff like this? You know what I'm saying? At least the Biden administration was trying to work with drug companies to control costs of certain drugs that people need time and time again. But how the hell are you supposed to afford those things if you can't even afford to keep the lights on at the house because the bill keeps going up? Look, I went away from Verizon years ago. I had two lines on Verizon. It was almost $300 a month. It's like y'all out your fucking minds. For two lines, almost $300 a month. What's wrong with you people? It's a
Techno-
damn cell phone.
Technology, though, seeing that this goes back to the American public. Technology things are supposed to be cheaper. The VCR didn't go higher in price. The DVD player didn't go higher in price. As time went on, it got cheaper. So did the microwave. What about your cell phones? Why your cell phones? Why did they go from being $200 devices to now $1,000 devices,
1,500.
$1,500 devices? Why is that? Why is the services that the cell phones are regulated? They got towers that they pay. I mean, these are U.S. Airwaves that they're using anyway. It's our space, but look at why the service plans are going up. I'm just telling you, man. it, this is all happening for all of the right reasons, and I think people need to tap in. I need our people to get as ingrained in what happened at the State of the Union as they are with the 50 Cent and Ti beef. I want to say that again, because if we don't, we won't we won't have anything left for the youth. And what we saw right there during the State of the Union. Now think about this, y'all. That was on Tuesday. He bombs Iran on Friday. He uses the taxpayer dollars to drop bombs. He,
1.4 to 2.5 million per Tomahawk missile.
and he is a
We're 0.4 to 2. Need you to hear that.
oh,
These cats are dropping Tomahawks like they freaking confetti. It's 1.4 to 2.5 million dollars every time they fire one of them damn Tomahawk missiles. What could that do to your budget? What could that do to your school district? What could that do to your roads? What could that do to your bridges? Take this shit home. What could that do for you? And if you can do more with that money, then you need to get your ass up, mobilize others to get out to vote when the time comes to make a change. We need to. I'm sorry, Thomas. I apologize for cutting you off.
no,
We
no, yeah.
need to stand up and let these jokers know this is not a game. You're not playing with. You're not playing with Monopoly money. This shit is hard to come by. It should not be easily thrown away. You said, sir, that you were coming in to end wars. You said, sir, that you would not put America's children in harm's way. Sir, what have you done? What have you done? Because what you said and what you've done, two different things. Go ahead, Thomas Landon. I'm gonna let Rodney get in so he can stop typing.
No, you can go ahead and get in. That's fine.
I'm sorry, Thomas. Go ahead,
Oh,
Rodney. What you had?
Well, what I put in the chat is the one thing I can say about this administration is they can do multiple horrible things at once. So not only
Yes,
do we have to deal with what's going on with the Epstein files, not only do we have to deal with what's going on with this operation, as he's calling it, but tomorrow, millions of Americans will lose their SNAP benefits. Tomorrow, millions. 46,000 in Las Vegas are going to lose their SNAP benefits tomorrow. The cold piece about that is most of them won't even know it until they go to the cash register with their grocery and their card comes up insufficient funds. That's going to happen tomorrow across
why are
the
they
nation.
not being notified?
Some of them are being notified, but they're being notified through the mail. Everybody doesn't check their mail. Everybody doesn't have a mailbox, to be honest.
Oh, you,
So
you mean this? You mean this vehicle that they're trying to defund and trying to take away from everybody?
no, not
The United
trying,
States Postal Service?
not trying. That tomorrow morning.
No, I'm talking about the Postal Service.
Yeah, I get it, but I mean they're doing it electronically too. But it's the fact that tomorrow morning, millions of people are going to lose their SNAP benefits. Millions. 46,000 in Las Vegas are going to lose their SNAP benefits. Millions are going to lose their Social Security benefits tomorrow morning. Millions.
and just keep in mind that what's happening in Iran is happening during Ramadan. Muslims,
Mm,
Muslims will never let this go.
I didn't connect that. My apologies. That's a
Never
good call out.
let this go. Never. I just want people to understand that they won't let this go.
Good call out, bro.
Oh, and people can play and him and ha, and you can play the thing about your plantation master if you want to. They're not gonna let this go, and they're not. And keep in mind, they were already told that the government over there was about to be toppled by the people already. They didn't have to go kick it over; it was already falling off. All they had to do was sit back and mind their own business. So just
But
keep it.
distraction.
Well, it ain't about just distraction. It's about crumbling this country. And if the American
Mm.
people don't understand that this man hates this country, that these people hate this country, this has nothing to do with a love for the country. They hate this country. That's why you would take food benefits away from white folks as well. That's why you would take healthcare benefits from white folks as well. That's why you would shut down schools that's going to hurt white people as well. They're not hurting just one sect of America, they're hurting all Americans. This is what it's like almost to have a bunch of sleeper cells activated at one time. I'm telling you, if you want, here's a entertainment reference, Rodney, for you, something you probably never watched. Just go watch G.I. Joe. This is Cobra Commander. No, hey, listen, no. I'm not joking. This is Cobra Commander. This is Death Row. This is Zartan. No, listen, they had a plot just like this. Our people in this country are somehow, some way hoping somebody else come save us. Nobody's going to come and save you. Get distracted as much as you want to. Take your black ass overseas and you may not be able to come back into the country. I'm just being honest. Hey, look, you may not be able to come back into the country. I was sitting there looking this morning like, I love Costa Rica, but god damn, if I went right now, I may not be able to return. Keep thinking that you are going to be able to sit this out and other people are going to, I just go about my day to day. Your day to day is about to be disrupted. They charged 12 more people here yesterday in Minnesota. 12 more for running into the church. You know what that was a symbol of? We're not done with y'all asses yet. We're not going nowhere. And we will be back. You don't get a chance to get off the hook. So I'm just saying, across the country, when we see what happened, and this goes to the State of the Union, because he could have told us, which most common sense presidents do, whether they're crooks or not. Even George W. Bush would have stated what he was going to do on Friday, on a Tuesday. If that was part of it, he would have led up to it. That didn't happen. And the Iranians are not looking, according to that spy that I was telling you guys about. He said that the CIA has known for quite some time that the Iranians are not looking for nuclear weapons. They really don't have an interest in nuclear weapons. They just won't say it. That the spy world knows that. Everyone knows that. That this is just BS Israeli intelligence. That's all it is. BS Israeli intelligence. Why? Because Israel wants to take out Iran. Has nothing to do with American interests. And at some point, what we're going to have to start understanding is, yes, the United States of America may be the biggest country between the two, may have the best military, but at the end of the day, what's being ran over here is being ran from over there in Israel. They're calling the shots. And if we don't understand that through APAC and how they control the Congress and the Senate, if we don't understand that with this Epstein situation, where they have all this dirt on all these powerful American leaders in industries, then we just are dropping the ball. And people need to wake up. People have to wake up, y'all. Because if not, I ain't gonna say if not. You can experience in real time right along with me. I ain't even gotta say the if not. We can all do this shit together.
Okay, so Rodney, before you said the last line of defense would be the United States military. And historically, two things happen. Either they support the dictator or they help to take down the dictator. What do you think we are right now?
where our position hasn't changed because the military typically follows orders. Well, let me take that back. There is one change. Raging King, the hand-picked successor to the real four-star general, C.Q. Brown, is having a little moment with Leaky Pete, your mama call you trash himself. And he has warned them that the United States military right now is not in a position for a protracted war. He has told them that. My son is active duty intelligence right now. And he said the same thing, is that this is one of the worst moments for us. We better hope that Iran capitulates, that China doesn't jump in, because this is a moment for China to go on the move. He said those are things to look for. Will Iran take this hit? I mean, they already retaliated against, I think it's the Fifth Fleet. Will 45 claim victory, or will he continue to prosecute? Or will Israel continue to prosecute on behalf of America, which is the same thing in the eyes of the Iranians? Will the Iranian people overthrow the government, and then will they come on 45 side? Will they overthrow the government and be on their own side? Or will they not overthrow the government and Iran decides that it's sending sails out every place that they could send sails out to? So it's hard for me to say right now because there's just so many variables. And but what I will say is we need to keep an eye on that and put pressure on it. But it's the stuff that's happening at home that's going to have the most immediate impact. And when you have a war, you start to cut off. Well, you're a logistics dude. When you start to have war, you start to lose your sea lanes. You start to lose your airspace.
Yep.
Once that happens, to get product, it takes longer to get product. That means there's shortage of products. There's hoarding by those who have the means. Shortages. Then when you have shortages, then you have disruptions in the street. You have higher crime. You have higher anxiety. You have higher DV. I mean, it's this huge ripple effect. And then when we
Black
start,
market.
think about a bodega in New York, in an area where a large percentage of the people support that bodega from SNAP payments that they're going to lose in the morning, and from Social Security payments, from housing payments that they're going to lose literally overnight. Those people don't have time to recover. That landlord still has to pay his rent. But if his people suddenly overnight don't have the money to pay their rent, what now happens to that landlord? To that bodega where the people cannot, when they go there and get insufficient funds, that bodega owner, he don't have the wherewithal to absorb his primary customer base literally disappearing overnight. And think about all of the ripple effect that has through the economy, because somebody has to bring those goods to market where the market just disappeared. Those people who go to work, stop and get gas and get coffee. This really is one of the most understated calamities that is about to befall this country. And most people don't know about it. And this comes from the big, ugly, well, they call it the big, beautiful bill. Really, it was the big, uh, ugly bill. This is the ramifications of bad, passing bad legislation, or call yourself negotiating and going to the middle on something as bad just to have more bad. In other words, you could have not done it and maybe had a shutdown and fought for it, or do what you did do and say, well, we'll take this bad and we'll postpone it for a little bit. Well, the chickens are coming home to roost tomorrow morning. And yes, even the military, veterans are going to take a hit too. Veterans are about 15%, 20% of the Nevada population. Imagine what that's going to do if those veterans, they lose that income tomorrow morning. This is huge.
And I do want to
So
keep. I do want to say this piece too.
okay,
To not have elections in 2026, don't be shocked. And hear me out what I say. They allow they allow a missile to drop here in the United States. Don't be shocked. This is a part of the Kabuki theater, and they don't care about the people. So if it hits a city like Seattle, so be it. If it hits a town like Minneapolis, so be it. They don't care. Remember, these are shithole cities anyway, according to him. No different than the shithole countries that he don't care about. So I just want people to kind of keep that in mind as this process lingers on. And, you know, once again, who's on recess? Oh, it's the Congress. How
of
convenient.
course.
How convenient. You just had a long break, but you need another longer break in the process. And at some point, people are going to have to be able to say, why is it that before Trump does something fucked up, Mike Johnson always pull everybody and say, go home? Someone has to ask that question. It's almost like what do they call measuring the punch? When you see the Congress run like roaches, know that Trump is about to do something crazy to the rest of America and the rest of the world, because this is how they abstain from having to do their job.
Yep, and getting called out for it.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're running away from the cameras. They're running away. They're running away from tough questions, not only from the media but also from private citizens whom can join the media as they roam the streets of Washington D.C. The weather's pretty good right about now, and even if it wasn't, if your ass about to lose your dough, you're gonna be out there protesting in some form of fashion. Why would you not be there to ask those questions? Why would you not set up a rally position to where when the congressional people went into the chambers as they tried to climb the steps to go in the chamber, they had to walk past you, and cameras are there seeing you trying to ask your congress member or your congressperson questions about what was going on with your benefits. Absolutely. Tomorrow folks are going to lose benefits, as Rodney stated. You're very much right, sir. There are work concessions, volunteer concessions that they want folks to go through as well as part of maintaining their benefits. That's supposed to go into effect too. So, what are you going to do? There was some, there'll be some exceptions, but what are you going to do if you are deemed by the administration as able to, but your actual work life situation, well, I'm sorry, not work life because you're not working, your actual life situation does not allow you to? What happens then when you're kicked off the program? Do you go back to zero, have to reapply, try to get back on, which,
Yes.
it takes you 8 months, 18 months, 36 months, whatever?
Oh, long? No, no.
And that's how,
They said it was
go
going to
ahead.
be longer. They said it's going to be longer because now what they want to do is they want to do and make sure throughout using AI to make sure that while you haven't had it, have you been applying for a job? Are you able to work? These are the requirements that they're asking now for SNAP benefits. So it's not a typical application anymore. They are really scrutinizing these people for these crumbs of dollars to eat. So keep
Yeah,
that in mind too. That they and here's the thing about the Democrats getting in power, back in power. The Dems don't always walk this stuff back, y'all. The
not
Dems,
at all.
the Dems don't always say, "Hey, we need to change this," because what they try to do is they try to play like they're tough on crime too. That's kind of the role of how they go about things. They have to prove that they're sometimes as cutthroat as the Republicans can be towards poor people.
Yep. Yep. Rodney, you can stop typing. You can get in because I'll need a couple minutes to uh, pivot to the next subject. So, what did you want to say?
No, I was just saying that this thing that they have to do, people can be disabled, physically disabled. You can be a paraplegic. You name the disability. It doesn't make a difference. You still have to meet these very onerous requirements, and that's assuming that you know that you have to meet those requirements. What they're betting on is that people don't know, and that like once they find out when they go to get them groceries tomorrow and their car is doesn't work, then they have to go through that process, however long that process takes. Well, in the meantime, how do those people eat? How do they feed their families? How do they? How, if you're a paraplegic and suddenly you lose SSI, SSD, you lose all of these things that literally sustain people's lives. People are going to die from this. People are going to be homeless from this. And here's another one: even homeless people still can get benefits. But if you're a homeless person and you don't have a mailbox, you didn't get the notification. So once again,
Hmm.
you go to the store with your $50 or $80, whatever it is you get a month, could be more or less, and you find out you have nothing. And there is no safety net.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're doing like emergency meetings here in Las Vegas, trying to bring, they're reaching out to me for food because they know that people tomorrow morning, when they were saving and they were looking forward to go into that grocery store, that when that money hits that account Monday morning, they know people are not going to have it. And when you suddenly find yourself in a situation where you don't have it and you need it, and there's no help for you, there is nobody out there beating those drums.
Well, hold on, Rodney. Time out. Let's be honest. There is help. And that's the other side of this. Governors can put money to their people. And we gotta state this because this is one of the things that Trump got pissed off with states like ours here in Minnesota and other states around the country who said if you guys won't fund the people, we'll fund the people. Governors can, and I think governors, if they really just like what happened a couple weeks ago with Wes Moore when he didn't invite them, the governors are going to have to take a stand for the people that paid their tax to pay their salaries. What needs to happen across the board is if you don't feed our people, federal government, you don't get our tax dollars. We'll withhold tax dollars. You can't tell people who are the government, the federal government works by all 50 states sending some type of pittance to the federal government. States need to withhold those dollars. We're going to feed our people. Why? Because not feeding our people is bad for crime. That's bad for public safety. You don't want to have a bunch of hospitals overrun with emergency room folks because they're sick, because they don't have nutrition to keep themselves well. You have to be able to do this. So I don't want to just say that he's wrong because he's definitely wrong. He's wrong. And so is Mike Johnson. But these governors, and I know I'm speaking directly to our governor here because if there's been one person who's been punked in this process, Governor Walz has been the biggest punk, if you ask me. You have to do something when it comes to your citizens. If he's taking away food stamps, feed the freaking people, man. You have to. You have to, and you have to take a stand and say, well, I guess the U.S. government will not be getting federal tax dollars from us in the state of Minnesota, the state of the state of Nevada, etc. That's the only way to take this thing back. And sometimes with all of these levels of government that we do have here, the governors can stand and take a leap of faith for their people because that's the only way this works, y'all. Is that people are going to have to put their pen, they're going to have to put their feet, they're going to have to put pressure on these governors to have some balls. They're going to have to. And yeah, it may be all kinds of ramifications and all of this other stuff. But listen, what would you rather do? Die on your knees or die on your feet? Which one do you want? And that's what time it is. This ain't no time to be pussyfooting around about what's going on in this country because people are acting like they got options. Because I'm telling you, there's nothing worse than a hungry person with a gun coming into somebody who's fool's window in the middle of the night because they're coming to take every fucking thing you got. And they don't care how much you pray, how much you eat vitamins. They don't give a fuck how good you are on the Stairmaster. If you got what they need, they're going to take it. And so now it becomes neighbor versus neighbor. And you don't know which of these neighbors in your household, whether you live in the suburbs or the inner city, that's starving. So we got to put this back on these governors, man. They got to really do something. And some of these state legislators, they got to step up and really do something.
Okay, so
Lee, if I can. So it's not that I disagree with what Brother Barry's saying on what should happen, but I'm dealing with the here and now and what is happening. And right now, that is not happening. And yes, people can put pressure on their governors, but my state is run by a red governor. He is a MAGA governor. He doesn't care about the people here. And a lot of these red states, governors and legislatures, don't care about the people. As a matter of fact, a part of the way fascism works is you want the people to fight against the people because then that gives you another justification to strong arm and militarize and do martial law and all of these other things. So I'm not, there's plenty, we can always say the governors, for, I've said on the show, the governors should form, I just called it the Blue Pack for a generic name because most blue states fund the United States of America, including the red states. So New York's GDP is the same or greater than the entire state of Canada. California has the fourth largest economy in the world. It is the fourth largest, has the fourth largest GDP in the world. You take New York and California alone, yes, if they join forces, they could do those things that you say. There's a lot of things that they can do, but what can be done and what is being done are different, and what is being done, what may be done later, is different. In the here and now, people, when they wake up tomorrow morning, are going to not have money in their SNAP accounts. Their Social Security is going to be gone, and maybe those things will happen. But until those things happen, all of those side effects that you talked about hungry people, yeah, all of that stuff will happen. But for the federal government right now, that is not a bad thing. That is actually a good thing because that gives them even more justification to bring in more troops, to declare all of those things that we say that we're trying to prevent, to say, well, we got a war going on, the country is going to hell in a handbasket, we don't have time for elections, I'm not going anyplace. There's a whole lot of stuff that is going to happen tomorrow morning. I don't believe in running to another country. The only way to save not only ourselves, but the entire world is it's up to the people to stand up and fight it. If the people are not willing to or don't understand it yet or whatever the people need to have before they mobilize, well, in the meantime, these things are happening and this thing is tomorrow morning is going to happen.
Well, I will say this: nothing that I said takes away from what's happening tomorrow. Nothing. I didn't say anything to take away from that point. So there was no but in what I was saying. What I was saying was what you should do afterwards. But sitting around and moping and thinking that you're going to reach DC. And I've talked to people who are delusional enough to think that they can write letters to Trump and Trump is going to somehow figure out some shit that's going to be good for black people here in Minnesota. I don't know why people are so crazy, but hey, people tend to be crazy.
Did he freeze for you too, Rodney?
Yeah, maybe he'll come back on in a second.
Yeah. Thomas, you're frozen. I'll send him a message. Um, I want to say I'm with both of you. I
Well, first
think.
of all, Lee, this shouldn't be an argument or a disagreement
No.
between the people here. The facts are the facts, and this
Oh
stuff
yeah, yeah, yeah.
is
Not a
happening.
disagreement. Not an argument. Not an argument. Not a disagreement. I was going. All I was trying to inject was I understand where you both come from. I agree with you both. What I'm trying to inject is I think that a lot of governors don't do that because their political aspirations are limiting them. They're holding them close because what they can do is that without a doubt. It's not legal, but they can do it in order to take care of their people. And it does constitute just move one time, times I tell you, be freed up. There you go. You are.
He's
It
back.
does constitute tax evasion. So I think that they fear doing that would hold them from moving on to the next level of whatever they're trying to do as far as electability is concerned. So I think that's why a number of them don't do it. That's all I wanted to say. I'll stop there. Go ahead, Thomas. what was the point you were trying to get in?
My point of the matter is that we talk about problems a lot, and we don't talk about actual solutions. And listen, with all on the hell, you have to try everything. Period. The idea that we just got that we feel like we're going to operating from is saying
Thomas, are you
going.
moving around?
Yeah,
You sounded like
I'm
aliens
in,
invaded.
I'm in the same space in my basement.
yeah. Thomas, you're having connection issues.
He must be walking and got too far
I
away.
don't think he's walking. I really just think he's getting. I think he's having some connectivity issues right now. He may be doing
If
too much. But there you go.
am I
There you go.
if it does this again, I'll just get off the. I'll get on my phone and see if my phone works. I'm in the basement, so
I got
and
you.
it's getting cold, and it's getting colder, so it could be that too. Because Rodney, am I
That's what I was
freezing?
about to say. It probably too cold for the signals to get. It's freezing up here, Rodney. It's freezing.
It's
It's
80
supposed to be in
degrees
the
in Vegas.
teens.
I'm just saying it's 80 degrees in Vegas.
It's supposed to be in the teens today, Rodney. That wind slapped me when I got in the car last night. I was like, God damn, jeez. That hawk was out, boy.
Hey,
Where this come from? I
we
ain't
got some
felt this
sun
in
for you right here.
years.
Come
But
on and
but
get some.
but I do want to say, if the country is supposed to be going to hell in a handbasket, and it's going to be a new day anyway, I think people need to start talking about extreme measures because we're in extreme situations. And I think once that is the baseline that all Americans are operating on, that there needs to be a new normal, then that's a whole conversation with governors as well as citizens alike. And it's just time to talk about people. Did you have the courage to be on the right side of history? That needs to be the conversation around the country as we see CBS getting ready to buy CNN. And we know that the news is going to be going through a straw at this point right here. You pretty much have corporate giants owning everything, and they're down with Trump. So now we're not even about to get news anymore. We're about to get a bunch of BS. And so, look, folks better, man. It's just so much stuff, man. I would just say this is me. I'm a fighter. I just don't believe in giving in to nothing, and I don't believe.
Gotcha.
And I wake up figuring out ways to not wait for the stoplight. So, people are just gonna have to figure it out.
I like that. I like that. I like that. I like that. All right. And I don't know if you caught my point or not, but like I was saying, and Marlon echoed the same thing. I think a lot of governors aren't doing this because they're concerned about their political future, and this would be deemed tax evasion. This could be tied around their necks and holding them down. I get it. I'm with you. We're all on the same page. I just said I wanted to put that out there because yes, they can do that. They can withhold funds. Absolutely, it's going to cost them, and I don't know if many people are ready to pay that price. To be honest with you,
We already
let's
we got a 34-time felon as president.
say that again.
What the fuck another charge is gonna cost you?
Say that again, right? So your one charge can't get you elected, but the 34 was okay by him. You know what I'm saying? But different strokes for different folks. Different strokes for different folks. All right. So we got 27 minutes left in the show. Let's hit. I want to hit a couple things. First off, Henrietta
Black.
Lacks. Her family settled with no. I wrote it down. So Novartis. Thank you. The lawsuit was filed in 2024. Undisclosed amount, similar to the one that happened with the settlement with Thermo Fisher Scientific back in 2021, I believe. If you are not familiar with the sister, this is the sister whom's she had cancer. She went into Johns Hopkins University Hospital in Baltimore, Maryland, back in 1951. They took cells, cervical cells, and were able to not only grow them, but they have reproduced since 1951, and they are the only ones that have done so. They call them the miracle cells. They're also code name HeLa cell, and they have been used over and over and over and over again in many test trials to give us the medicines that we all enjoy. This black woman sells have been used in clinical trial after clinical trial to bring us closer to vaccinations for this, cures for that, so on and so. This black woman cells from 1951. That's a long. That's almost 100 years, and they still growing. She is the miracle. She was literally the one. Um, Again, this is the second pharmaceutical company that her family is settled with, and that's that. But I wanted to give them their just dessert because they've been fighting for decades to get to this point, and they definitely deserve it all. There have been countless lives saved because of this woman's cells. There have been countless vaccinations, treatment, whatever, because of this woman. They deserve it all. Real talk. So big ups to them. Rodney, you missed the part earlier when we bigged up some folks in our lives from our younger years that really helped guide us in the community. I'm saying, keeping us on the straight and narrow and supporting us when we were growing and may have been going down the wrong path and got us back straight. But I wanted to give you an opportunity. If you had anybody to throw in the pot, you can throw somebody in the pot.
Well, outside of family, there was the local wino was very influential in my life.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I was doing things on the street that I should not have been doing. Um, I was I was just doing bad stuff, and this the local wino, as I was walking to the bodega, called me and said, he called me some name I don't remember now, but he said, "Let me tell you something. You got a chance to make it out, and we all don't make it out, and you're losing that chance, and we need you to make it out. The community, the neighborhood, needs you to make it out, but you're not gonna make it out going the way you're going." I think his name was Johnny the Wino. So he would be one because I never forgot that, and it stuck with me, and that had me thinking that I should be doing other things to make it out. And then there was another old gangbanger who, he was old in the '60s, but he was crippled and a bunch of stuff. And I was doing the gang thing, and he seen my colors, and he put me to the side, and he basically kind of gave me the same talk. He's like, "Hey, man," he said, "Look at me." He said, "This is your future." He says, "And if this is not your future, you're gonna be in." Back then, they were still sending people to Sing Sing. He said, "You be in Sing Sing." He said, "Because either my homies are like," he said, "most of them are no longer here." He said, "Think about that." He said, "I'm one of the few." And he said, "Look at me." And he said, "The ones that's still alive, they're in Sing Sing." And he says, "You got a choice. You can wind up like me, you can be in Sing Sing, or you can no longer be with us." But he said, "That's your future." And he says, "And by the way, whatever money you making, you can make more than that doing the right thing. Because now you got to stash your money, right? Suppose somebody get into your stash. Now you got to make them recognize they mess with the wrong one. So now you got to do something to them, and then they got to do something to you." So he says, "You got to get out of the life." And so those are the two people outside of family. And I've talked before about Mrs. Apparata, my librarian, who had the most impact on me.
That's what's up. All right, cool. Um, Not a swift pivot, but a pivot nonetheless. I also wanted to go into Jesse Jackson's funeral. Well, we'll go into that, then we'll talk about the Clintons, and then we'll wrap up. Jesse Jackson's funeral happened this week. There was a procession that happened in Chicago. Now here's my dumbass, because it was Thursday, right? And I'm sitting at the hotel like, man, if I was in Chicago, then I was like, dog, you are in Chicago. Shit. I'm an hour away. I could have been there. Like it did not click. That's look, dog. This move was very quick, and it did not click that I wasn't there. Plus, like I said, I got notified Tuesday. Tuesday, was there Wednesday. I didn't have the damn cord to my CPAP machine until Thursday afternoon, so it was rough for a brother. You know what I'm saying? I had a very rough Tuesday and the Wednesday because I had an early morning flight. Then I had a very rough Wednesday and the Thursday because I didn't have uh the
CPAP.
damn cord for my CPAP. So it was bad, man. It was bad. But yeah, I was like, God dang it, I ain't put them two together. I could have been right there. So when I go back, I will make my way down to Chicago because Angela hooked us up with her sister and whatnot. So I need to reach out to her so we can get together, at least have dinner, to discuss some things. Maybe we can plug ourselves into some things that they may be doing in the very near future and go from there. But yeah, that was wild. That was wild. Marlon, did they put the flag at half staff for Jesse Jackson? No, no. Your boy Johnson refused to allow his body to lay in the rotunda and wait. That was disrespectful, but it's nothing that um, was not anticipated. To be honest with you, you know what I mean. But the procession happened, I believe, Thursday. I believe it was Thursday and stuff, and there it was, and there it is. You know what I mean.
Was it on
Um,
TV?
I saw again because I saw it on TV, so it was on TV. I don't know when the full fledged Mickey Spickety was. I know they took his body out and that procession happened. I will Google it and find out um, everything about it. But yeah, so that's how it is and that's how it was. Uh, we uh, we got the testimony from the Clintons this week on the Hill. Bill said that he did not know of Jeffrey Epstein's wrongdoings. Who cares? Right, wrong, indifferent. Who cares? What we saw though was a continuance to try to change the narrative. I think there is a push, concerted push, to try to get as many people in the boat with Trump as possible so that at the end he can decry. Well, everybody else did it too. I keep telling y'all, he's a teen. He's a preteen. I won't even call him a teenager. He's a freaking preteen. He behaves like a freaking 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old. I got to get myself back to center because I had some words I was going to use and I had to choose them better. So I will let you all eat that up after I close with this. Doesn't matter who else did what. Dog, your ass was there. You were complicit. You were 100% volunteer in it. We went from you chasing young women to the narrative changing to 15 to 16-year-old girls, and you're talking about you're trying to stay on that same play. No, dog, that's not the same. 18 and 19-year-olds, those are young women. 15 and 16-year-olds, those are minors. There's a difference. There's a clear difference. Maybe you don't know this law thing, but the law says that there's a difference. What do you say, Rodney?
Well, I mean, I'm agreeing with you. They constantly move the goalposts because that's what white people do. So this is to be expected. It is having an effect with some people though, because 15. I don't even know. I think there might be one or two states that might have 15 as an age, but most states don't. So however you look at it, these were minors. It's again, I think it's what do the people do? Do we let him get away with it, or do we keep using our voice because that's our main weapon? Also, here's another one though. How does social media, that's basically owned by MAGA, and to what Thomas said earlier, regular news media, because remember, most people will not know that MAGA has taken over the majority of the news media in this country.
True.
When the news comes out filtered through their straw, most people will not know that it's propaganda, a la 1984, the book. So we're in a situation now. where shows like us, and when we start being able to broadcast on the watch on Thomas's platform, a lot of people who get the news, real news, are going to get it from people like us, and we become more important in this. We just have to get more people, to share, whether it's us or other people giving real information. But this lack of accurate news, that's going to be harmful too. Uh, Thomas used to talk about uh, monopolies. We got monopolies now. And when the Democrats, assuming we have elections and the Democrats win, will they have the wherewithal to break up the social media monopolies? Now the news and general media monopolies. And I think that they won't have it unless we make them. And I think that's where we are now. Is it's up to us.
With Netflix pulling out of the Warner Brothers deal, it makes it even tougher. Go ahead, Thomas. What you got?
Netflix was never in the deal. They were never in the deal. Netflix was doing a favor to drive the price up. That's all. They never intended to pay.
That's why they got that kickback at the end.
They never intended to pay. It was just to drive the price up and play along with Kabuki theater. Everybody's acting. And the sooner that people understand that, the better off it'll be. Here's something that I thought was interesting this week with the testimony. Clinton said a couple things, and he said something about what he could really recall. And this is the man who said that, depends on what your definition of is. He was speaking in a lot of legalese about what he could recall. And he talked about his duty. And he was almost talking as if he was an attorney compared to as if he was a person who was on there giving testimony. He weaseled out a lot of things, y'all. And people have to really understand how he weaseled out. But what I heard that I thought was very important this week, I heard it from a survivor. And I thought going into the media and Epstein mixed in together, I thought this was interesting. Where survivor said, because Trump said I was exonerated. And the survivor said, we've never said you were exonerated. But you know what I kept hearing on the media? I kept hearing from the media that the survivors were saying that Trump had nothing to do with it. That's what the media kept saying until this week, until a survivor said, we never said you were exonerated. There are people who recall you. There are stories about you and girls. So he's not exonerated. And I think that that's very important to note as this testimony goes further, because why would the media be telling us one thing? And there's another thing that I want to point out too, which I also find odd. Hearing this from the survivors, only from the survivors, and the people who are going through the files. Where's the story of the little boys at?
Mm.
I want to point to that. Where are the stories about the little boys?
So hold on, Thomas. You're saying there were no blacks allowed on the island, but there were little boys, no black girls, no little black boys.
No. We got to stop saying it wasn't. That's another missed thing too, because one of the survivors is a black girl. She is a black girl. She's one of the ones that's going around talking. So, like I said, there's a lot of misinformation that's been given out, and she's standing in there with these white women. If you look close enough, you'll see her with her curly hair, but she's a black woman. So that's one thing. And the thing with the boys, and the reason why I bring that up, because with the testimony with Lex Wessner, a lot of people are saying that him and Epstein had a sexual relationship, but they're also saying that not only Epstein and Lex had a sexual relationship, we're about to really find out who Bubba was. Remember Bubba?
I thought Bubba was the horse.
I thought Bubba was the horse too. Bubba might actually be a guy. And
did Bubba have a horse?
Could be. Hey, and Bubba could be Lex. I'm just saying. So that's how Epstein got the billions. That's how he had access to the money. And they said that Lex was considered homosexual for a long period of time. And he got married later into his later years. And that's why his wife didn't have power of attorney. Epstein did.
Who's Lex? Who's Lex?
Is it Lex Wessner or is it Les?
Okay, I got you. Okay, I got you. Yeah.
So they were saying that he didn't get married to his later years. So I just want people to understand those pieces, and with the testimony that you heard from the Clintons. I think Hillary was straightforward. I think she didn't know anything about it. And I think this is the thing about the Clintons, that they're almost like Trump and Melania. They're together, but they're really not together. And it's been that way for quite some time. They're husband and wife. And yeah, that's true, but they're not really together, y'all. They don't live the life where they're together. But I think Les Wexner, thank you. I was calling him Lex Luthor or some shit like that. But Les Wexner,
I
Les
knew what you
Wex- Les Wexner, they're reporting that him and Epstein had a actual sexual relationship, and that's how Epstein was able to get a lot of that money. And people say, "Well, wait a minute, hold on." And I'm bringing that out because they were saying it was boys that were being molested on the island by some of these dignitaries as well. And that story has not been told in the media. But if you go through the files, it's there.
mean.
It's just interesting to me, y'all, of what people are not willing to talk about publicly.
That's
Like,
because of the money issue.
well,
You
not just
know,
not just the money, because I've been saying this a while about this whole Me Too movement. Like the Me Too movement was supposed to be about the little boys in Hollywood who were molested. And keep that in mind, that conversation was supposed to be about little boys, and somehow it flipped into white women and the casting couch, not about pedophilia and the little boys, but about white women in the casting couch. And I'm saying this situation here too, yeah, you're human trafficking girls, but I do feel like it's a stigma that they don't want associated with certain men of power, that these men are, they are same-sex pedophiles as well, which would mean that they're probably all homosexual as well too. And I'm just saying, this is some stuff that nobody wants to talk about. And like I said, we might find out that Bubba was a man who, like you said, who had a horse, and that was a part of the embarrassing initiation for Donald Trump. Bubba had big hands.
or big something else. Rodney, you got anything to add?
No, not really.
Okay. All right, that's what's up. Hey, so we got 8 minutes left. Let's tidy up. No matter what you thought about the State of the Union, um, it was a shit show. I'll keep it clean. It was a shit show. It was almost never supposed to go down like that. I think it was the longest one. He tends to one up himself every time he does the damn State of the Union. I think this was 108 minutes. Yeah, that sounds right. And it was sad just to watch it. It was really sad. It was more about applaud lines for people up in the damn balcony and the rafters than it was about policy. It was more about distraction and lies than it was about how can we work together to really bring prices down to help secure the health and safety of our citizens so that we can really prosper and become the America that we were intended to be. It was not about that. It was a I did this, I did that, give me the applause, make me feel good, and if you don't, then you're a piece of shit. The Democrats did pretty well for as long as they could. Brother Green stood up and did his thing, got kicked out again. Uh, there was a senator that just walked out, and he I just couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take the lies. I had to leave.
Mm.
Most of them though sat quietly, tweeted, fact checked him constantly, and reached out to their base and the voters in general. 107 minutes. I'm sorry, I was a minute off. What this thing is usually for is to galvanize the base, ignite straddlers to come to your side as you go toward the stretch for midterm elections. I don't think he did a good job at that doing that at all.
Mm.
I think if anything, he just piss more people off because they are not feeling the wealth, the riches, the goldenness that he hinted that we were going through this golden era. And that be that. Go ahead, Rodney. What you think? What do you? What's your wrap up thoughts?
Mm.
My wrap up thoughts goes back to something Thomas said. In order to save this country, we're going to have to put our lives on the line. It's going to require sacrifice, and it's going to be a sacrifice of blood sooner or later. And the longer we wait, the greater the sacrifice. So the sooner we start, the sooner we can get through this. And yes, it will require black people to do more than what black people are doing. It doesn't necessarily mean we need to be out front on the protest line. I'm not saying that, but we do need, for those who are leaders, it's time for you to lead. Whether you're elected, family, community, church, whatever, wherever it is. And here's the other piece: you got to break down the silos between us, inner community, and also we need to find out who's really with us outside of us, because it's going to take more than us. And that's where I am. And if you don't have 1,000 rounds of ammo, you better get it, because if they don't have food, they're going to come to where the food is. And if you got it, now you became a target.
Hmm. Thomas, what you got?
Well, I just wanted to say the State of the Union response pissed me off. I
How
thought
so?
I thought that the Democrats had a chance to allow Wes Moore to respond to Trump for not inviting him
Mm,
and
mm,
keep
mm.
parading these boring ass white women out there. I mean, come on, y'all. Like, come on. I mean, what the fuck is going on? The serious times require serious people. And that's what I said last night to the people who came out to the watch party. Serious time requires serious people. And right now, we got a lot of unserious people in the midst of all of us. I agree with Rodney. The silos have to stop. But if you're a serious person, you would understand that you don't need silos in this moment. I think the parties need to stop. But if you're a serious person, you understand that too. It's just a time for seriousness. And if you don't know how to be serious, maybe it's a lack of discipline on a lot of our people's part because they feel like somehow, some way, somebody, the Avengers are going to come save everybody. But that may not happen. And hey, you may get out of this unscathed, but there'll be people who are kin to you that will be scathed. And you're going to have to deal with the fallout from their trauma, whether they're coming back from war, or they're the people who don't have food, or the people who don't have shelter, or don't have health care. But somehow, some way, somebody who's close to you is going to be scathed by this. And this is a time we talk about black relationships a lot, but we have to really understand that this is a two-person household fight.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
the stress is going to be real, and this is a time to have conversations. I've been having conversations a lot with my children, and we have to coach our kids up because they have a deficit of understanding the realities of what's happening now because they've been afforded the ability to live in la la land. But I'll end with serious times require serious people. Time for you to get serious.
Absolutely. Well, Rodney, I don't know what you typing, but you can say it because, and I'll end it after we say.
People, please get a book and read it. And I just put in the chat, Parable of the Sower talks about the now time and a little bit after the time in what we're dealing with right now. It was written by Sister Octavia Butler as we move it into Black Women's History Month. 1984 is a perennial book that talks about a lot of the things that we're seeing in government right now. If you don't believe what your lying eyes are telling you, then pick up a book and read it and know it for yourself, because it is happening. It's not what's going to happen, it's happening now. Be prepared and prepare your family and those close to you. Prepare yourself.
Yeah, peace be unto that sister. Remember, she passed away just over 20 years ago, February 24th, 2006. So, you know, it's she's right on time, even though she's transitioned and joined the elders. Look, y'all, Thank you all for watching live, watching later. Please follow us on YouTube, Instagram, any place else that you get your podcast. Be good, be safe. Please stay warm. And if ain't nobody told you that they love you, we do, and ain't a damn thing you can do about it. Until next week, family. Peace.